So here's the deal. So your boss says, come in Saturday, and you say, if I don't go in, if I'm afraid of my boss, he might fire me. Or you cannot fear man and just say, okay, I'm going to tell my boss, can't do it, it's Shabbat. And the boss says, well, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to fire you. And you say, absolutely, you can fire me. That's your right. I'm not afraid of that, though. And I'm not coming in on Saturday. Now, you need to think, Mr. Boss. Now, by the way, this is only something you can say if you've done what I'm about to say. I never really thought of wording it this way before, but I'm going to say it now. You should be able to look your boss in the eye because you have been the best exemplary employee he's ever had, his hardest worker, his most trusted person who he can rely on, who would not cheat and steal time from him or steal product from him or hurt a customer or disrespect him as a boss. Then you should be able to look him in the eye and say, yes, sir, you could fire me. But would it be worth not giving me my Saturday to lose an employee this good, knowing how hard it is to find somebody this good? Do you understand what I'm saying? But you can only say it if it's true. Because I have to tell you, most employers know that it's getting harder and harder to find a good employee. Because the American people generally have become more and more lazy, trying to do the least they can do to just get their paycheck and go home. And they're wasting time on the job, and if they can get away with it, they're on Twitter or Facebook or they're texting. They're doing all kinds of things. They're stealing people's time, the boss's time. They may even be stealing his products. They certainly aren't giving him an honest day's effort for an honest day's pay. And so if you're doing all those things, you may be able to turn to your boss and say, boss, I understand that this is a challenge for you. But you need to understand that the same integrity that I have about the Sabbath is why I protect your time, I protect your company, I protect your reputation, and that's why you value me as an employee. Go ahead and put it back the other way. He's threatening you. Let him know what he's losing. So just realize, while I have no fear that my Creator will give me a better job, you may be wondering how easy it's going to be to find another employee that can do what I do. Hey, if he's going to play hardball right back. Why not? But it better be true. Because I know some of you have a testimony where that's happened, where you get away with what other people don't get away with, so to speak. It's not like you're getting away with it, but he makes allowances, your boss or she may make allowances for you because you are too valuable to them. I learned that lesson really young. I was working at New York Life selling insurance, and there were meetings we had to go to on a regular basis, and you know what? There were guys that never came to a single meeting. We called them top producers. They got to do whatever they wanted. Because people started asking questions, new people like me, like, hey, how come so-and-so never has to come to a meeting? Well, because he's the #1 producer in the company. They let him do whatever he wants. You understand what I'm saying? If your value is high enough, then that outweighs other things. Create high value. You know, we have somebody here in the congregation that works at a company here locally in Chattanooga. Her bosses will let her do almost anything when it comes to Torah observance because they love her as an employee. They would love to train her as a manager. They would love to have her be in their company forever because she's done such a great job. No problem getting off for the feast. No problem getting shifts that don't break the Sabbath because they want her more than they want to stick to that little guideline. You want to be that person. Because you know what it says here? It says, hey, you shouldn't be afraid of any of that stuff. He says, look, it is better to take refuge in Yahweh than to trust in a man. He says it's better to realize that Yahweh's on your side and not to fear man, what he's going to do to you. Oh, but you don't understand. Yahweh wouldn't want me to not be able to pay my bills. Of course he doesn't. So why do you think he can't give you another way to pay your bills? Is that the only job that ever existed that you can do? And by the way, if you're really not that versatile in what you can do, why aren't you figuring out how to do anything else? Oh, no, I'm sorry, but I have to watch my shows and my sports, and I do these other things, you know, and I hang out with my friends, and I play sports, and what? I don't understand all that. Because some of you are aiming really low. You're not aiming very high. You're trying to figure out what's the minimum I can do so I can pay my bills, and then you're frustrated all the time because you really can't on the minimum. You're not aiming very high. A lot of it because, well, after all, the blood moons are coming, so what do I need to aim high for anyway? You know, stop all that. I mean, I want to do a course called Up to the Challenge, you know, Yahweh's approach to being the best you can be. Being up to the challenge of aiming high. You're aiming at the highest thing there is. You want to be like Yeshua. And you kind of sort of are starting to figure out what that takes. But you know what? Yeshua wasn't poor. There was a lot of money in that money bag. It wasn't because he was taking up collections everywhere. And he came from a family that did work. And he had a career before he started his ministry. And the guys that he selected out all had careers too. Okay? And so let's aim a little higher. And I'm not picking on Walmart. And if you work there, I'm not picking on you. But your goal should not be to be stocking shelves at Walmart. Now, some of you, if you have disabilities and other things, that may be what you can do. I understand that. But why wouldn't you be going someplace where your goal might be to be the manager of the Walmart? Or how about somebody, maybe you want to own one? You understand what I'm saying? Why are we not aiming higher? Because that's why we end up in these struggles. Because you know what? One day, we have young people that we're not training this way. Those young people are going to get married. And guess what? They're going to come to you crying about how they can't pay their bills. And they're going to want mom and dad to help. Because some of you already have children doing that to you, don't you? You have children that are always coming to you because they can't make it work. Because they're not aiming high enough. How about striving and aiming high enough? And that's not about me. You're doing it so that you can give more and do more and provide more and actually so you can give your family what it needs to have. And that you don't burden the ministry, you don't burden your parents, you don't burden your friends, you don't become a constant begging receptacle, but you become an outflow. But a lot of it has to do with this fearing man thing. Fear, well, I'm afraid to change jobs. I'm afraid to try something new. Stop being afraid of everything. Trust in Him. Believe in Him.